Let's go. Batter up. We're taking the afternoon off. It's a beautiful day for a ball game. For a ball game today. The fans are out to get a ticket or two. From Walla Walla, Washington to Kalamazoo. It's a beautiful day for a home run. But even a triple's okay. We're gonna cheer and boo and raise a hullabaloo at the ball game today.
Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Thursday, February the 2nd, and what do I got going? Not much to talk about sports. We know that the Chiefs are going to be playing the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Hopefully it's a good game. I will say this, I'm not going to root for anyone to win. What I am going to root for is to see a really good and exciting game. That's more important to me than either the Eagles or the Chiefs winning this. I really don't have a horse in this race, but a great game would be awesome. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. LeBron James is closing in on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record. I think at the time of this recording, he's behind by 89 points. I'm a little indifferent towards it. Granted, LeBron does play for the Lakers, and the Lakers are my hometown team. I respect LeBron. I just don't really view him as a Laker, so to speak, where, you know, guys like Kareem or Magic Johnson or Kobe Bryant, even Shaq, they felt like they were Lakers. LeBron to me seems kind of like borrowed. So best of luck to him though, and we'll see how that goes this upcoming week. All right, hobby-wise, I'm actually excited because I'm making this video, and once I make this video and then put a couple of hours in at work, I'm going to head over to the Long Beach Card Show, which is this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's really a coin show. It's a huge coin show. If you're into coins, I would definitely recommend heading down there if you're in the LA area. But there's a little small corner that's devoted to sports cards and some memorabilia. PSA is always there. I would say there is about 4 to 5 really, really good vintage sellers there. So that alone is worth going to. And I did find out yesterday, and these are for the local peeps who live out here. If you're attending the Long Beach show and the Burbank show next weekend, you could drop cards off to PSA this weekend at the Long Beach show, and you could pick them up next week at the Burbank show. So check out the PSA website for more information. I saw that posting last night on Instagram, so check it out. So I am excited about this show. The show this weekend. I'm still looking for a Brooks Robinson 1957 Topps. Hopefully I find them this week or next weekend at Burbank. But I plan on being at the Long Beach show hopefully today, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Just really depends on work because I have to kind of slip away. Luckily, the show is only like 3 miles from my house, so I'm looking forward to that. And next week, I'm really looking forward to the Burbank show, and we'll talk about that more next week as that show approaches. So what are we going to talk about today? I was thinking, I've seen this conversation pop up lately in regards to winning the lottery. And what would you do if you won the lottery? And some people would say, oh, I'm going to buy every sports card in the world, or I'm going to buy all this memorabilia. And that's easy to point to do. So I brought up, this brings me up to a different question, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. Let's say you had enough money just for one set. And I started thinking about it. I actually wrote this down. I go, let's talk about it. And I wanted to get your guys' feedback on what your choices would be. If you had asked me this question 10 years ago, the first thing I would have said is the set that I want more than anything else in the world is the 1972 Topps. Why? Just because it was a massive set. Series 6 semi-highs, Series 7 high numbers. Those were impossible to get growing up. And I remember in 1972 or mid 70s, if you had like 400 1972 cards, that was pretty good. But if a kid or somebody had some semi highs or some highs, it would be like, whoa, he's got the high number Rod Carew, or the Steve Garvey card, or the Frank Robinson traded card. So that was a set that I still love to this day, and I have finished it. But that would have been my first choice if you had asked me 10 years ago. I could also say 1973. That was the very first set I ever worked on. So naturally, I could say, oh, I want to work on the 1973 set. That has a lot of memories. Mike Schmidt rookie. There were some good action cards. There were some ugly action cards. But I remember buying these cards, so that would have been a choice. Another choice would have been my birth year, 1965 Topps. That's an incredible set. I finished that one a couple of years ago. That's where you kind of get, for me at least, you're getting kind of serious. Now there's Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays and Roberto Clemente and Hank Aaron, Sandy Koufax. And, there's some really great vintage players in that set. And so 1965, that would have been a nice choice. My buddy Eric, I grew up with him. And when we were kids, he bought a 400 card lot of the 1961 Topps. And he never finished. And we always talked about the high numbers and those amazing Sporting News All-Star card subsets, of which he had one or two. I always remember he bought like a Roger Maris or a Brooks Robinson card. And when he showed it to me, we were like 12 years old. When he showed it to me, I go, wow, that looks like a 1970 All-Star card. And he goes, no, it's a 1961. And we had never seen one before. So that became a big time set. And on a side note, I did not speak to my friend Eric after school ended for like 30 or 35 years. And a couple of years ago, we reconnected and we talk all the time and we're always texting. He started collecting baseball cards again. And last week, he finally finished. He decided he had gotten rid of all his 61s probably when he went to college. But he started up the set again. And last week, he picked up the 1961 Mickey Mantle All-Star card and the 1961 Mickey Mantle MVP card, and he is done with the set. So congratulations, Eric. That's a set. That's a great set, too. That's a set to consider. 1953, there are two great sets. The Bowman set is incredible. Just ask Alex. Alex, Bowman 53, has an incredible 1953 Bowman set. That's a beautiful set to start. Maybe I'd consider that. I chose the other route, though. I went ahead and did 1953 Topps. And I love that set. The Mantle, the Mays, they look like works of art. And Satchel Paige, there's just some great cards that I never imagined in a million years owning. So I could say, God, I'll try the 1953 set. What else? I'm looking at my notes here. 1949 Bowman. I could be like Blue Jacket 66. He has the most incredible 1949 Bowman set, including the alternate cards. That's a good set to think about. I'm like, am I going to want to try that one? Well, I don't know. Right now, I'm currently working on a 1941 play ball set. Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, Pee Wee Reese rookie, Charlie Gehringer, guys that I never met, Mel Ott, Jimmy Fox, great players from the 30s. I mean, that's a great set to start. Maybe I'll try that, maybe I'll do that with my lottery winnings. I'm not sure. Now, some of you are going to go ahead, and frankly, I don't blame you. And I'm going to be honest with you. The next three I'm going to give you are not my first choice. But they are great sets. 1933 Gowdy, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Rogers Hornsby. There's a million incredible cards in that set. But I'm not going to pick that set as the set that I want to start. 1952 Topps, come on, legendary. Mickey Mantle, all those high numbers. Jackie Robinson high number, Pee Wee Reese high number, Roy Campanella, Eddie Matthews, oh my God. 1952 Topps, that's a great one to consider too. Just not for me. T206, oh my God. How am I going to get T206? How am I going to get the Wagner? How am I going to get the Plank? I do know there are guys out there that have done, I believe, 520 of the 524 cards, which is incredible. I'm not going to pick that set though either. The set I am going to pick, and some of you might be surprised, if I had the money and I was allowed to spend it on one set, I would pick up the 1915 Cracker Jack set. I love that set. And when I say 1915 Cracker Jack, I'm also going to include the 1914 cards from the Cracker Jack set that didn't make it to the 1915 set. I think there's a handful of them, including a different, the original Christy Mathewson card. But I love that set. Now I'm made some notes of which now I can't find, but the Ty Cobb, that's probably one of my favorite cards ever. That's just a great looking card. There's a Hannes Wagner in there. There's a Walter Johnson. There's a Tris Speaker. There's a Joe Jackson card. And then there's my favorite team, the Dodgers, or as back then they were known as the Robins. So there's a lot of cards that I haven't mentioned from that set, but when I see that set, I think that is the most beautiful set ever. And that would be my choice for the set that I would most like to buy if somebody said, I won the lottery, I'll buy you a set. I would choose the 1915 Cracker Jack. What would you pick? Let me know in the comments. Again, there's no wrong answer. It's just what means the most to you. And like I said, in my case, I just find that 1915 Cracker Jack to be amazing. So let me know in the comments what you think. And we'll go from there. But for now, I'm gonna show you some cards because I've rambled long enough, and you guys probably think I'm a crazy guy who just sits here and talks. I'm going to show you some cards I've picked up in the last few weeks for my Dodger team sets. So let's turn the camera and let's take a look. So I have 6 cards for you today, and these are all recent pickups from eBay, Clean Sweep auctions. Yeah, that's where these are from. So let's start off here, and this is going to be the 1934 to 36 batter up Al Lopez. Lopez is a Hall of Famer, a Hall of Fame manager. But before that, he was a 2-time All-Star with the Dodgers. He spent the first 7 years of his career with the Dodgers, and his best season was probably 1933 when he hit 301. He stole 10 bases, and he finished 10th in the National League MVP voting. After his 7 years, he was traded to the Boston Braves in 1935. But where he became more famous was when he went on to manage the Indians and the White Sox, leading both teams to the World Series in 1954 and 1959. And then probably his biggest honor, he was voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1977. So this is the 1934 batter up card. And if you could see, this, he's supposed to pop out of there. Granted, I'm not going to do that. But it's a good looking set. There's 10 cards, 10 Dodger cards in this set. And now I have 7 of them. Okay, some big cards now. When I mean big, I mean in size. So this is the 1929 R316 Cashin Dazzy Vance. Vance is arguably one of the Dodgers' more famous pitchers, especially from that era. He won the 1924 National League MVP. He was a 3-time 20-game winner. And he was also involved in one of the most famous flubs in baseball history, the 3 men on third incident, as it's known, during the 1926 season. Vance was on second base, and Chuck Fuster was on first base. Babe Herman hit a long ball and began racing around the bases. And as Herman rounded second, the third base coach yelled at him to go back, since Fuster had not yet passed third base. Vance had already rounded third base. He understood and reversed course, returning to third base. Fuster arrived at third base also. Herman ignored the instruction of going back to second and also arrived at third base. The third baseman tagged out Herman and Fuster, and Vance was declared safe by rule. 3 men on third base, as Vin Scully used to say, only to the Dodgers. Vance was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1955. And as I mentioned, this is the cash-in set. These cards are a little bit bigger. Blank back. Still a good-looking card. There's 6 of these in the Dodger for the Dodgers. And the next one I have is also from that same set. And that's going to be Douglas McQueenie, who played 4 seasons with Brooklyn from 1926 to 1929. And his best season was 1928, where he compiled a record of 14-14. But that did include a league-leading 4 shutouts. So this is Douglas McQueenie, also from the R316 Cash-in 1929 set. It's really neat when you start collecting some of these cards that you've never heard of, just because they're nice to have. And this set particularly, they have really nice photographs. All right, another card from a set that I've never owned, and this is a 1933 Tattoo Orbit Lefty Clark, or Watson Clark, or Waddy Clark, however you want to call him. He pitched 11 seasons with the Dodgers, and in 1932, he compiled his best season, winning 20 games against 12 losses. But this is the Tattoo Orbit card that was released in 1933. The Dodgers only have 2 cards, Clark and Lefty O'Doul, of which I still need to get the O'Doul. And then the back, you see his info here. So Watson Clark, pitcher, Brooklyn Dodgers. They just really gave you the essentials back then. But there's some nice looking cards in this set. I wouldn't work on it just because it would be a long labor of love, but I'll try to get the 2 Dodger cards. And then my last card, no, not my last card, second to last card. I was talking about the Cracker Jack set earlier, and I picked up a John Hummel card, and a 1915 Cracker Jack John Hummel. He played 11 seasons with Brooklyn between 1905 and 1915. But this is the 3rd Dodger card I have in this set. I have the Jake Dalbert card, the John Hummel card, and I also have the Ed Rulebach card. So I still need Zach Wheat, Otto Miller, and Knapp Rucker. Now 1915 is a little different because the backs are upside down. That's how you can tell the difference. In 1914, if this were a 1914 card, you'd see the card upright. When you flip it over, you would also see this upright. But in 1915, they are upside down. So this, and I love those uniforms they had back then. It said Brooklyn going down in the center. This is a 1915 Cracker Jack John Hummel. I hope I can finish that set this year. We'll see. I didn't have it in my goals. Now, my last set, or my last player here, let me get my notes out, because this guy does have a lot of notes. This is my one and only. It's a 1923 W572 Burley Grimes. Now, Grimes is, like Dazzy Vance, a Hall of Famer. Played 9 seasons with Brooklyn from 1918 to 1926. And over a 19-year career, he won 127 games and was a 5-time 20-game winner. In 1931, Grimes helped the Cardinals to a World Series championship with 2 victories, including the Game 7 decider, where he was 1 out short of pitching a complete game. Now, at the time of his retirement, he was the last player who was legally allowed to throw a spitball, as he was one of 17 spitballers permitted to throw the pitch after it was otherwise outlawed in 1920. Baseball historian Frank Russo called him baseball's most aggressive spitballer. Grimes had acquired a lasting field reputation for his temperament. He was known for wanting to win in any way possible. Prior to a game against the Giants late in 1924, Grimes organized a team meeting and said, "Anyone who doesn't want to play today's game to win, let me know right now." Then, on his first pitch, he knocked down a Giant. The only 2 batters Grimes apparently could not intimidate were Hall of Famers Frankie Frisch and Paul Waner. If Grimes threw a close pitch to them, the batters usually followed it up with a hard hit line drive. Grimes' friends and supporters note that he was consistently a kind man when off the diamond. Others claim, though, that he showed a greedy attitude to many people who got on his bad side. He would speak mainly only to his best friend, Ivy Olson, in the dugout, and would only pitch to a man named Mateus Schroeder before games. Schroeder's identity was not well known among many Dodgers, as many say he was just a nice guy from the neighborhood. Dodger manager Wilbert Robertson didn't get along well with Grimes, using a clubhouse attendant to tell Grimes when he pitched so that he could talk to Grimes as little as possible. Now, Grimes also had a total of 36 major league teammates who would later be elected to the Hall of Fame. No other Hall of Famer had more Hall of Fame teammates. After his playing career, Grimes was the manager of the Dodgers in 1937 to 1938. He replaced Casey Stengel, and he compiled the 2-year record of 131 and 171, with his teams finishing 6th and 7th place, respectively, in the National League. When Grimes was fired by general manager Larry MacPhail after the 1938 season, Leo Durocher was hired to replace him. And on a final note, Grimes was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1964. And again, this is the W572. It's hand cut. This reminds me, when I look at this card, if you've seen the movie The Pride of the Yankees, the whole Lou Gehrig story with Gary Cooper in it, at the beginning of the game, or at the beginning of the movie, the young Lou Gehrig is trying to play baseball with the older kids, and to get into the game, he shows off his baseball cards that he has. And there was a Babe Ruth card in there, I remember. I later looked it up and found out that all the cards were fabricated for that movie. But when I do see this Burley Grimes card, it does remind me of Pride of the Yankees. Blank back, by the way, in case you were wondering. All right. So that's what I got for you guys this week. If you stuck around, thanks so much. And you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
It's a beautiful